What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. We have a lot to discuss in this weekend update here as we get into what is most likely going to be yet another very volatile and very crazy trading week. We're going to do a little bit of a recap of what kind of happened over this last week, what it means in the grand scheme of things, and get you guys ready for what is to come this week. And as always, we're going to be going over and covering some of your favorite names here, guys. Neo, Hims, Palantir, and Sofi. Some of them are looking really solid in the short term here. We're going to be covering the most relevant pieces of news here for these individual names and going over the charts in the short term here so that you guys have a better understanding of what to expect next. So before we get into all of that information, guys, if you guys do enjoy the information and analysis that I provide for you guys in these videos here, make sure you go down and hit that like button. It costs you nothing to do it, but it helps me out a whole lot in spreading this information out to as many people who actually want to learn. And again, if you're not subscribed yet, make sure you guys are, and turn on notifications so you're notified every time these videos do end up getting posted live. And as always, massive shout out to all of the members of my private trading and investing community, Less Trades, More Profits. I'm going to throw up some of the gain screenshots over here. Congrats to Asian Pelican over there making $20,000 off that American Eagle trade. That is absolutely awesome. We have so many awesome trades and results here, guys. Honestly, there's too many to count at this point. Now, if you guys were living under a rock, you may not have heard this, but prices are going to be increasing for LTMP every single month moving forward here. But the price that you join at is the price that you get locked in at. So again, if you guys don't want to miss that, check out that link down below. Make sure you lock in these lower rates before the prices continuously go up for those of you guys that decide to not take action there. Again, all of you guys can do this. Once you see how simple what we're doing in the market actually is, you will wonder why you ever tried to trade in the market any other way. So let's get into it over here. Start discussing some of the most relevant pieces of news and data that we saw last week. So on Friday, we received non-farm payroll. So the U.S. unemployment rate near 4-year high as labor market hits stall speed. Non-farm payrolls increased by 22,000 in August. July payrolls were revised up, but the economy shed jobs in June, which has not really happened in a pretty decent period of time here. The unemployment rate rises to 4.3% from 4.2% in July. So we are starting to see a little bit more weakness in the labor market. And as we get into September, which a lot of market participants have been thinking is going to be the time when we are going to first start getting this first rate cut here, we can see that starting to get reflected even more in the rate cut expectations here, these probability metrics, specifically here on the Fed Watch tool. We currently have about an 89% chance of a 25 basis point rate cut coming in September, or a quarter of a percent, and about 11% chance of a 50 basis point rate cut here. Now, when these probabilities start to move up here, as we are starting to see, and we are starting to see pricing in a little bit more 50 basis points, that is one of the reasons why you are starting to see a lot of demand coming into the bond market here, as people are starting to front run what they think the Federal Reserve is going to do coming into September here. Now, typically yields going down can be bullish for markets, but you also have to think about it in the grand scheme of things. We are seeing gold significantly move to the upside. Again, another name that I called out for you guys. Congratulations to those of you guys that hit that for like 700%. I showed that one earlier in the video there. But now that we are seeing gold starting to move up here, we're also seeing, again, when yields go down here, bond prices are moving up, so higher demand for fixed income assets. That could be viewed as an overall flight to safety. Now, in addition, as we move forward into this next week, we are going to get another round of very important data. On Wednesday, we're going to be getting the PPI, Producer Price Index, which again came out relatively high the last time that we saw this data, showing that producers are eating most of the costs of these tariffs so far. CPI has not really aggressively moved to the upside the way kind of PPI has started to, but then again on Thursday we are going to be getting CPI as well, followed up by Friday, which is going to be consumer sentiment there. So a lot of data this week, guys, so make sure that you guys are prepared for that. Remember, I go live for you guys every single day at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time for free here on YouTube. So again, make sure you guys have notifications on. I'd love to have you guys on that stream with us here too. Now, the first individual name that I want to talk about with you guys is one that I've highlighted a lot, and one that has had some really solid performance over the last couple of months here, and that is Neo. Remember, I gave all of you guys this trade idea here on this $5 break on Neo for free, and we were looking at this round 2 setup forming in here on Neo after they reported their earnings. Now, again, we did see some positive developments On NEO's last earnings report, NEO reports a narrowed net loss in Q2 as expenses decline, which is exactly what we want to see. But then we also are seeing NEO CEO William Li cautioning weak EV industry in Q1 2026 as China's tax incentive drops. Remember, that is kind of the time frame where NEO is looking to hit some of these profitability metrics that they have outlined to their shareholders over the last couple of years here. Now, looking at this chart of NEO, as of right now, going into next week, I'm not really looking at this one for a short-term trade in the way that I was back in this area here. And the main reason for that is that we have started to get these candle closes down below this daily 10 exponential moving average here. When we saw these taps and these tests of the daily 10 EMA here, again, we had that really nice level that we were looking to take entries above here, 664. But now that we're seeing NEO move to the downside, I'd be a little bit more cautious with this name in the short term here as we kind of let the market do its thing getting into this September FOMC meeting. Now, again, it is very possible too that NEO ends up snapping back up above the 10, continuing to consolidate, and we might be able to still use that 664 level here. But something that I say a lot to not only just the members of the LTMP community, but everybody on the live streams, is that a lot of people think that there are only two actions that you can take in the market, which is long or short. Cash is also a position, guys. If you look at a chart and you're looking at an individual name, most of the time, the smartest thing that you can do is actually to do nothing. Now, the next name that I want to talk about with you guys here is one that is looking really solid. And when we come over and take a look at this chart here, we are going to start taking a look at him. So on this day right here, Thursday, August 21st, on one of the private live streams that I do with the LTMP group, Less Trades, More Profits community, I was outlining this area right here as really not the worst idea in the world to start kind of dipping your toe back into HIMS off of this significant dip that we have seen off of the highs. The main reason for that is a couple of things. Well, we saw, again, really solid support at this 40.85 area, and we've also seen HIMS respect this daily 200 EMA many times in the past here. So it was relatively likely that if the market were to hold on here, that this is kind of that first spot where you would look to start taking some maybe additional positions on HIMS here, initiating positions or adding to some of those positions there that you guys already have. Now, on the trading front, obviously I outlined this level for you guys right here, 46.27, as a really solid area to initiate a short to kind of medium term trade here. Again, the last times that I've outlined this for you guys, again, that last one, 53.29, and then we ripped all the way up into the 70s. Really solid one there. I gave you guys this one at 30. Again, also just really in the last like 2 months here, I've handed out like 8 over 10x trades to the LTMP group. Again, I know that sounds crazy, everybody, but that's why I showcase all of the results from all of the students nailing these trades that I outline every single day and every single week. Because again, people love to overcomplicate the market. It really isn't that difficult when you know what you're looking for. But this chart right here on HIMS here is looking really good. We saw a very positive day on Thursday. Saw a little bit of volatility here on Friday off of that non-farm payroll data and the overall volatility that we saw out of the market. But overall, this daily candle on HIMS is looking very solid, especially with closing above Thursday's close there, which is a very solid thing to see. Now, on kind of the news front with HIMS jumps as investors see litigation risk dwindling Wednesday after a judge dismissed a lawsuit by Eli Lilly challenging a different telehealth company that sells knockoff versions of its GLP-1 drugs. HIMS, the only publicly traded company among its peers, does not sell copycat versions of Lilly's drugs, but it does sell versions of Novo Nordisk, the competitor weight loss drugs, and investors have seen litigation from Danish pharmaceutical giant as a major risk looming over HIMS. Both Lilly and Novo have sued smaller companies that sell compounded versions of their patented drugs. On Tuesday, a judge dismissed a case Lilly filed against Willow Health, siding with the telehealth company's argument that its versions of these drugs are in fact personalized, which is the same argument HIMS has made when Novo has publicly accused it of illegal behavior. So, for those of you guys that don't know what this situation is with these compounded drugs, it is illegal to kind of mass produce these compounded drugs, which are effectively kind of like the generic version of these GLP-1s, and sell them to consumers. What is legal is that if those compounded drugs that they are making are, like in this lawsuit it says here, are personalized to that individual consumer. So it's that gray area that a lot of these telehealth companies are operating in to potentially increase their revenue on the margins there. So this is a positive development for Hims here, and we easily could see some more positive price action out of Hims moving forward. Now, the next one that I want to talk about here with you guys is Palantir. So I will tell you guys, this is not a great looking chart right here. Just overall, we were seeing a significant move to the downside, a decent period of consolidation. I believe if I hit Option I here, I invert the chart. Guys, everybody in the LTMP community should know, if we were looking at this inverted chart on Palantir here, we would be looking to long over this area, this 147.65. But what I will say off of this chart here is that the sellers did have a couple of really solid opportunities recently to confirm a break to the downside, and they haven't been able to. So I would view that as kind of a neutral development for Palantir in the short term here. Fundamentally, they're going to continuously grow their business on the commercial front and on the government contracting side as well. But again, this is a name that is still very overvalued by those kind of classical metrics in the present here. And I think the market is starting to treat Palantir as such, especially with some of these very uncertain market conditions that we have moving forward. And again, we did have another positive development on kind of the partnership front on Palantir this week. Palantir and Lear announced 5-year partnership expansion to accelerate automotive technology transformation. So again, Palantir is doing what they need to do. They're going to continue pushing along. And again, all of you guys that were able to get in this one when I outlined this one for you guys in the 15s are still sitting at some absolutely astronomical gains. Now, the last one that I want to talk about with you guys here is Sofi. So there's not really any crazy news that I've seen with Sofi coming out recently. And just kind of looking at this chart here, this is not one that I'm really looking to take a short-term trade off of. I mean, if we do end up breaking this 2662 area, this 52-week high, that could be a good opportunity here to kind of get a quick flip if we are able to see that follow through. But again, overall, just kind of looking at this chart, it's overall in a bullish trend. And depending on what happens out of the overall market, with a lot of the economic data coming out this week, going into that next FOMC meeting, that's kind of going to decide what happens to Sofi moving forward. So not a whole lot on Sofi here. This is one that I own at $6.55. I gave you guys that second entry on the weekly breakout at $13.60. So you guys have had more than enough time here to be able to get into this name in some really solid spots. Again, that 1360 breakout here was at this purple line. So really solid gains after that recent move as well. So guys, that is going to wrap up this video here. If you guys did enjoy the information and analysis that I provided for you guys in this one, make sure you go down and hit that like button. Costs you nothing to do it, but it helps me out a whole lot in spreading this information out to as many people who actually want to learn. And again, if you're not subscribed yet, make sure you guys are, and turn on notifications so you're notified every time these videos go live. But until next time, guys, I will see you in the LTMP group. Peace.